What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a roundup of 10 big changes and updates coming to Destiny 2 in Season 22. And so of course, the next season for the game will kick off on August 22nd, immediately after the reveal for Final Shape, so that'll make for a busy day in itself. But for this video, we've got 10 categories of changes which are going to arrive with the new season, ranging from singular drops like the returning raid, new PvP real estate, vendor and reward system updates, all the way to new weapons, exotic changes, Sandbox tuning, nerfs, buffs, and a whole host of other adjustments to D2. As always, reveals for these changes can feel a little bit fragmented, so we're going to round up the bigger stuff which players will want to know about, and as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free as well to give us your thoughts below on the announced changes, or what you'd love to see from the new content in the season as well. But before we get into it today guys, the video is sponsored by Lineage 2 Essence, a huge legendary MMORPG which is free to play and available on PC right now. Lineage 2 Essence is the latest version of one of our generation's longest running MMORPG titles, featuring huge raids on epic bosses, large-scale battles, castle sieges across multiple servers, trading, pets, and much more. The game is about to get its next huge update with the launch of Aztecan's Temple, which introduces a new territory around the temple occupied by humanoid lizards and daily boss appearances which reward new gear, and we can pick up things like the Oracle of Aztecan, a magic club weapon, as well as special skills like the Berserk symbol, which can inflict additional attacks, grant extra damage, and negative effects to enemies. But the update also adds a new pet fox, and pets can assist in adventures by carrying additional gear and unlocking their own unique skills. The new fox can be earned by defeating the raid boss Morro, and brings a bunch of unique abilities. Plus, the Aztecan update adds a load of new rewards and skills to the game. And so if you want to check out Lineage 2 Essence, right now you can unlock special gifts, including the Companion Help Cube, and this holds an array of items which give a temporary boost to attack and defense to help players explore the world, as well as an additional 100 XP growth scrolls to help level up faster. And all you need to do is follow the link below, create a character in game, and grab your gifts via the 4-game inventory. This offer is only available until September 30th, 2023, and so I totally recommend you guys check it out, linked in the description. And thanks to Lineage 2 Essence for sponsoring the video. Now though, let's get into Destiny 2 content and changes that we're going to see with the launch of the new season on August 22nd. One of the big ticket items for lots of players, of course, up first will be the reprised raid. And so Bungie have confirmed they will be reprising a raid for the start of the season, and Bungie have announced that although the name of the raid is still under wraps, they can give us the launch date, and the upcoming raid will go live on Friday, September 1st. So that'll be nearly 2 weeks after the launch of Season 22. As always, the raid will have a contest mode enabled for the first 48 hours that it goes live. But the big question is, which raid will it be? There's plenty of speculation in the community. We've had big raids from D1 like the Vault of Glass and King's Fall come back. But for the upcoming season, there are rumours of Crota's End returning, but also a significant number of players who'd love to see Wrath of the Machine. Since Bungie haven't announced it though, we will simply have to wait and see. But let us know in the comment section which raid you'd love to see return to Destiny 2 on the 1st of September. Moving on though, the second change for our Season 22 list right here is that we will see a brand new PvP map. And of course, this has been relatively rare in the past few years. We've only had, one or two maps. But for Season 22, the new Crucible map will be located in the Vex network. And so it's going to mix up the kind of feel and theme, and it'll be a location and style that we haven't really seen inside of PvP before, so that could be a pretty good one. Let's just hope that it's a good map. For number 3 though, we will once again see a vendor system with no upgrades for Season 22. And on top of that, Bungie had said that like in Season of the Deep, the team will be pushing the envelope to create more fresh activity experiences, like when they first unveiled things like Shattered Realm or Battlegrounds in Season of the Chosen. And so with Bungie making reference to fresh experiences and slightly more unique modes, hopefully we'll see the benefits of that in Season 22. And of course, if Bungie can do something similar to deep dives, or indeed better, I'd say that would be a positive, as things like deep dives are probably one of the highlights of Season of the Deep. Of course, it would be awesome if we get something even more interesting than that, but we'll simply have to wait and see. In at number 4 though, we're going to see the introduction of the exotic mission rotator, and so this is going to be a new playlist for Season 22 that'll feature exotic missions Presage, Operation Seraph Shield, and Vox Obscura, and the featured mission will change on a weekly basis. Plus, Bungie had said they may add older exotic missions into this playlist at a later date. And so it sounds pretty cool, although one of the big questions for a lot of players has been what will the rewards be for the playlist? And Bungie recently confirmed that Dead Man's Tale will be added to the loot pool for the Presage rotation, and that it will also make Dead Man's Tale a craftable weapon. So that in itself will be pretty cool, although otherwise we don't know what else we can expect, whether we'll get pinnacle drops, or if the playlist will be populated with other types of loot. Of course, it's possible that other associated exotics may become craftable as well, but we'll simply have to wait for confirmation from Bungie. In at number 5 though, we get changes for ritual loot, as well as a new suite or an updated suite of ritual weapons. I have to be careful saying new, as of course not all of these items are brand new rewards, but initially for Season 22, Bungie have said players will be more likely to receive ritual engrams upon completion of activities in ritual playlists, so whether it's Strikes, Crucible or Gambit, we should essentially be getting more post-match rewards from those. And on top of that, Bungie have said we'll be able to focus for new ritual weapons immediately at the vendors instead of having to wait for subsequent seasons. And for some of the ritual weapons in Season 22, it kind of looks like Bungie are going to be focusing on Cassoid Foundry weapons a little bit more. And Crucible will get a new stasis submachine gun called Unending Tempest, with the General Strikes playlist getting a new solar sniper rifle, the Lunar Regolith 3. And then Gambit will get a new Void machine gun, the Kwazapan 5, which is a name I'm probably butchering right there. Then for the Nightfall, we'll see the Warden's Law kinetic hand cannon, as well as a new solar precision bow. Bungie confirmed that that is called the Priastanax 4. Then for Iron Banner, we'll see reprises for the Guiding Sight scout rifle and the Point of the Stag bow. Presumably those will get new perks. With Trials of Osiris seeing Igneous Hammer return, of course that's a solar hand cannon, and there'll also be a strand heavy grenade launcher called the Cataphract GL3. So a decent update to ritual weapons there for Season 22, and Bungie also confirmed that the Exalted Truth hand cannon and Unwavering G2 machine gun will be leaving the Trials of Osiris pool. But then at number 6, we get ability sandbox changes. So Bungie have said they're planning on reducing the Tangle cooldown timer from 15 seconds to 12 seconds, but they've also said there'll be a buff for threadlings, and so they'll be implementing a sizable increase in threadling damage against PvE targets. But at the same time, they'll also reduce the uptime and duration of suspend sources in PvE. So suspend will get some kind of a nerf, with threadlings getting a damage buff. And they also teased that there will be a change to the Broodweaver's newest strand aspect, the Wanderer, although we don't have extra details about exactly what that change will be just yet. But they'd also teased that there'll be some small adjustments to the uptime of a few underperforming grenade options across multiple subclasses. So there will be at least a little bit of focus around ability sandbox right there for Season 22. On top of that though, while they haven't outlined specific changes just yet, there will be extra changes for exotic armor. So all they've said is that there are many existing exotic armors that they want to see get more use in the sandbox, as well as a few that still feel a little bit too strong. So we'll probably see a bit of a mixed bag, potentially some buffs right there, but also, based on Bungie's wording, we might get a couple of nerfs in there too. In at number 8 though, we're going to get weapon sandbox changes. So there are actually a few new bits of info that came from a recent Massive Breakdown podcast, and weapon designer Mercules and tester Kutcher give a few insights on additional changes. To point out some of the big things right here, there was a question about the PvE special meta and the prevalence of players running double specials, and they said that this isn't intended, and in Season 22 they will be correcting a bug that was introduced when primary weapons went to unlimited ammo that causes more heavy to drop when running double specials. And so essentially, double specials will no longer cause more heavy ammo to actually drop in the game. They're still going to allow players to run double special weapons, but with additional heavy being the primary benefit that players look for, that'll no longer be a thing. There'll certainly be some mixed feedback about that one. Let us know what you think down below. On top of that though, there was some questions about fusion rifles, and they confirmed that they are going to nerf under pressure in Season 22 and reduce the maximum accuracy bonus that it can grant. So that one will take a hit, but they also said that in either Season 23 or the mid-season patch for Season 22, they're going to bring kickstart down a bit as well. Plus there's a little bit of a nerf for Cloud Strike, where they said they're going to reduce the radius around the player who gets headshot that is lethal, and so it will go from around 5 meters down to 3 meters. So it will be less likely to get multiple kills. And finally, on the subject of bows for Season 22, they said there was an issue where projectiles for bows didn't have fast enough velocity to be registered as hit scan at longer ranges, which led to weird hit registration on lightweights. And so they've increased the projectile velocity on precision bows so that they should remain hit scan at longer distances, and matched the projectile velocity of lightweights up to it, which should make those bows feel considerably better. So a few additional things, and I'll link the podcast and the breakdown down in the description box if you want to check out more details about it. On top of that though, there are other confirmed changes that Bungie have already released in blog posts and things like that. They've said for PvE damage, they'll be increasing hand cannon damage against minors by 20%, with a fairly hefty damage increase against majors of 75%. But on top of that, they've increased the reload speed at 0 stat by 15%, which should be a substantial benefit to hand cannons with a low reload speed. On top of that though, of course, Warden's Law is being updated. We know that that will be a Nightfall reward for Season 22, and the archetype will now be a heavy burst hand cannon, and Bungie have said that it'll be a 2-round burst with a longer delay between shots than normal, and the hand cannon will be 600 RPM. But they've also said they've utilised the damage profile of aggressive frame hand cannons. And so in PvP, Warden's Law will deal up to 90 damage per burst against players, with 25 per body and 45 per crit, ultimately giving it a slightly faster 0.93 second time to kill instead of a standard 1 second time to kill. And so it certainly will be interesting to try Warden's Law out, and let us know if you're excited to use it down below. Also on the subject of weapon changes though, there'll be extra stuff for exotic weapons, and so they've said there will be a PvP nerf coming to Le Monarque, as well as a buff to the Touch of Malice, and a couple of minor changes to other exotics, as well as the introduction to one of the most complex catalysts they've created for an exotic weapon. And previously they'd teased that they could be working on a bayonet-style adjustment for Monte Carlo, so while that isn't the confirmed catalyst for Season 22, it looks like a pretty likely candidate. But on top of that, they said they have planned buffs for things like Bipod, Shoot to Loot, and Under Over, considering that they are underperforming legendary weapon perks. And so safe to say there will be a handful of changes coming for weapons, and give us your thoughts about them down below. But that takes us on to economy changes, and most specifically Bungie have spoken about adjusting the caps for Ascendant Shards, Alloys, and Enhancement Prisms. So while Ascendant Shards and Alloys currently have a cap of 10, they'll be moving that cap up to 30, and where Enhancement Prisms have a cap of 50, that'll be doubled and will go to 100. Although at the same time they did confirm that those particular currencies will no longer go to the Postmaster, so players won't be able to store them in Postmasters, but any that are currently in the Postmaster will remain there at the start of Season 22. Overall though, combined between inventory and Postmaster, we'll actually be able to hold a few less of those materials than we can currently, and players have some feelings about that, so share yours down below. But in at number 10, the final change, and hopefully some that will have an impact on the game, will be improvements to server stability. So with update 720, which is Season 22, they've said they'll be deploying a large set of improvements which will reduce the amount of times that D2 has to go offline due to emergency maintenance. On top of that, there'll be a bunch of improvements that make D2 services more robust. And behind the scenes, they'll be updating and expanding the testing systems, so that hopefully we'll have generally a smoother experience than what we've had since LIGHTFALL. Those are Bungie's words though, not mine, so we'll simply have to wait and see what we get. For today though guys, that is what we have to break down. I wanted to focus on changes that we know are coming to the game. Of course there are leaks and various things which you may or may not trust about what the content may look like in Season 22, but all of that will be revealed in time. Although if you have any speculation about it, give us your thoughts in the comment section. And for today, if you've enjoyed the video, a rating below really does help us out. Also feel free to get subscribed so I can keep you posted with more Destiny content. But otherwise, as always, I very much appreciate you all tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.